Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Namaste, namaskar, pranam, adab, sat sri akal, vanakkam. Welcome to the live chat. I'm your host, Dr. Sanjay Dhawan. Last week we talked about how to sing better with Rahul Ram of Indian Ocean, and today we will take it up, dancing. That how to dance your blues away, and how to dance better, and how to dance, and what dance does to all of us. No, so from singing today is to dancing, and we have two wonderful guests with us, Vrinda Chadda and Himani Khurana. Both are fantastic dancers and choreographer, and more than that, they're very good human beings. I know them personally. So Vrinda Chadda is an Odissi exponent, and she holds a Visharad degree in dance as well as in vocal music. She's a senior disciple of Padma Shri Guru Ranjana Gauhar. She has done her master's in philosophy from LSR, and she's a national scholar from the Ministry of Culture for Odissi. She travels around the world giving her performances in Odissi and has won many national awards on the same. She's also training for various forms of yoga. Himani, on the other hand, is a dance artist and educator and a choreographer. She was trained in jazz, ballet, and contemporary dance forms, also ballroom and Italian dances, from the Toronto School of Contemporary Dance and Theatre in Canada. She's the founder director of Stan's Dance Studio, and she has her own dance troupe. She's been part of various big dance projects like the movie Dhoom, which was really known for its dances, the Kala Ghoda Festival in Mumbai, and again, she's a wonderful human being. So welcome both of you, Vrinda and Himani, on this show. So dance, seeing is believing. So let us see that what their dance looks like before we actually start talking to them about dance. But before that, I'll call in Anupma to tell us how are we going to take the question, how are we going to conduct this show. Anupma, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Hi, everybody. Welcome on the show. It's going to be very simple. All of us are going to keep our voices and our cameras off, except for the host and the guests. And if you look at the participants section, for everybody who's on the Zoom call with us, please look at the participants section. You'll see an option to raise your hand. If you have a question, please raise your hand. And when we start taking questions, I will start inviting you one by one, and you can ask the question. For any questions from the viewers on Facebook, once we finish the questions from the Zoom call, we will take up the questions that have been posted on Facebook and we will ask them for you. And if we cannot address all the questions because of paucity of time, then we have a group. Sanjay will tell you the details, and we will try and take up those questions and those answers there. And that's just it. Back to Sanjay. Thanks, Dr. Dhawan.
Thank you, Rupa. Thanks a lot. And so it's very, very simple. On the participants list, there's a sign for raising your hands. So just click on the sign, your hand will be raised. We'll get that, information with us, and we'll ask the questions one by one from. So here we are. Let's go to the thing. And I hope you can hear the music too.
नन्ही बूंदन मेहा बरसे, नन्ही नन्ही बूंदन मेहा बरसे। के प्रभु गिरिधर नागर आनंद मंगल गावन की, 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 गावन की, गावन की, आनंद मंगल गावन की।
So that was Vrinda Chadha in her beautiful Odyssey. You know, I really love the grace, the beauty, the fluidity of movement that she portrays on stage in her dance performances. And now let us see Himani with her, you know, scintillating dance styles. The energy, the enthusiasm, and the dynamism of inner dance form really is really infectious, no? And it makes me feel like dancing. बस मेरी तीसरी टांग जो है मुझे रोक लेती है. Otherwise, I would have been dancing right now, you know. So, welcome aboard, Vrinda and Himani. I'll start with some basic questions with you. That what does dance mean to you? Vrinda, first, let us hear you say it.
Hi, thank you so much for the gracious welcome, Sanjay Uncle. I'm going to call you Sanjay Uncle because that's the relationship I have with you, and I'm just going to go right ahead and
you call Nidhi
say
Didi,
that.
which is not very fair. You know, I
Yes.
always say that. No,
It's just become a habit now. Growing up
good.
so close to you, and I think I'm just going to let the viewers in on a secret that we're a house away right now. We're literally a house away, and we're doing this interview. And this is what the pandemic has done to us, but that's just how things are. So yeah, wonderful to be a part of your live chat series, and thank you for the welcome. Really, really nice to see Himani's work as well. As you said, I too feel motivated to just get up and dance after watching the video. Coming back to your question, what does dance mean to me? I think dance for me is a very personal, it's a way to express myself in a very honest way. There are many things that words cannot do justice to in situations of life, and when we're feeling certain emotions, I find myself a little constricted in expressing myself through words. And when that happens, dance kind of really helps me in being able to put my thoughts out there in an honest way, and in a way that helps me channelize those emotions and energies in a better fashion. So for me, dance is that. Of course, apart from being a good way to work out, feel positive, feel better, and all of those things. But most importantly, it is a way for me to be able to communicate better.
Himani, so what do you have to say?
I also have to first thank you for the beautiful welcome, and of course, it's such a contrast to see, my form, and then Vrinda's form is like you rightly put it. It's so graceful and so, it just soothes your soul. So it was beautiful watching that. What dance means to me, dance for me is basically any sort of movement, and that's what I like to see it as. Even when somebody comes in for the first time to us at the studio or anywhere, anything that you do, even if you're walking, like half of my choreography movements come, from real life things. Like even skipping a rope is like choreography for me. Even the way someone's cooking is like, if you watch it very carefully, it's movement. And wherever there's movement, it's dancing. So, and there is no right and wrong in dance, and that is the beauty of it. So, of course, it is expression for me. It is, I'm a very introvert sort of a person. So that ways and a lot of people who know me as students, or who interacted with me otherwise, not in my personal space, they cannot believe that I'm an introvert, but I am an introvert. So for me, dance has always, as a personal experience, it has always been much easier for me to express myself through movement. And that is how I relate it to when I'm choreographing and teaching, that anybody can be dancing, even if you're walking, that is dance for me. So, and then you just stylize it with different techniques of classical or contemporary or jazz, or you just add the, what do you call, on the cake, you just add the icing with different techniques. But the base is just basic movement. And that is why I believe that yes, everybody is already dancing. You don't even have to scan it. Like you don't have to try it. If you're walking, or even if you're doing any sort of movement, like even when I'm moving my hand, it's like I'm dancing right now. So yeah, for me, that is what dance is.
So what are the benefits of dancing? How does it help? How are the different ways in which it helps?
Should I go ahead?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for Brinda. The benefits of dance, of course, there are 360 degrees, as I feel. Of course, there are physical benefits. And then we know that, it makes you very fit. It takes your cardiovascular stamina much higher. You guys are doctors, so you know that part better. Every time you're dancing, of course, like you're gymming, it does secrete those happy hormones for you. It does bring out, things that just make you feel better. But the one thing that I feel, because we also do different sort of activities to keep ourselves fit as dancers. So sometimes even I would hit a gym, or we would do another style which is physically more active. But when I come back to a dance class, what I feel very different from other physical activities is that besides the high rate of activity, you cannot dance without emotionally and mentally giving into it, because there's always music, or there is some sort of rhythm that you're going to create, even if it's a body rhythm, or even if it's the rhythm of your breath. Sometimes you're just choreographing with that. So that when your entire sensation moves to these different imageries and different sort of visuals, you emotionally connect. And by the time you finish that session of 60 minutes or 45 minutes, you've just forgotten about everything that could be going wrong with you. So, that is a great beauty. Like when we are doing gymnastics, it's more physical. I'm sure Vrinda will agree with me on this, that you cannot be in that act if you're not emotionally, and you, for some people, maybe spiritually even, but your mental and your emotional and your physical all comes into sync. And I think that is why, as dancers, it just gives you a upper edge in letting go of any sort of mental strain that you might be going through, which we all generally do.
Great.
So
Yes,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. And Brinda, tell me how to start dancing and who all can dance. No, anybody can dance, ABCD, or there's some people like me who are three-legged animals who cannot dance. No.
No, actually, I agree with Himani on that. I think dance is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. I mean, you can see it in the slightest things. I think when a baby is born, you can feel the rhythm in the heartbeat of that baby. You dance is literally, you can see it in the trees, the flowers that bloom outside. It's in nature. It's the dance of the nature, as one calls it. And it's literally movement, as Himani rightly said. You've got two dancers who are from different genres, but I love how streamlined our underlying thoughts are. I completely agree that there's movement in everything, and finally it just comes down to how one molds it, whether one molds it in that classical framework where maybe expressions and grace in case of Odissi is given more attention, and footwork is given more attention, or it could be in another very beautiful style of the style that Himani practices. So yeah, and I think it's about just, for me personally, starting dance was I think I always enjoyed dancing, and my parents could see that, my mother could see that, and
We could see that also.
yes, you could see that also. And I remember Sanya and I starting at the same time in my guru's dance class.
Yeah.
And that's just how it began. And I was very fortunate to get knowledge. Always, I feel like knowledge, something as enriching as classical arts, does need some kind of anchoring. And I was fortunate to get that anchoring from a guru from a young age. And then slowly she, how it got transformed into a point where I can find my own voice, eventually within that framework. So that was really nice. And I feel that with practice, anything can be achieved. I'm going to be a cliche, go ahead and say that, because having talent, I feel, plays about 40% role, but 60% is how much you put in, how much of practice and dedication you put into your dancing. So if you feel that you are only on a 10% scale, in terms of talent, in terms of I just dance doesn't come to me naturally. If that's what you feel, then you can make up for it with 90% of dedication and practice at it. I used to be in that place. I think initially when I started dancing, I was also a very closed person, an introvert, and I couldn't express as freely as was expected of classical dancers. And I used to always feel that maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. But I think I was what that term would be heat in Punjabi. I was like, no, I have to practice. I have to overcome any limitations that I've set for myself in my head and persevere. So I think anyone can dance.
It's fantastic. So if you say 0% talent, can also a person can dance and can learn with dedication.
Of course.
So I am now confirmed. I'm determined that I'm going to start dancing despite my third leg. So let's start with right now. Why don't you start me with your first lesson for me, that how to start dancing?
Sure. Okay. Great. So today I thought that since I'm talking about the expressive side of classical dance and the communicative side of classical dance, that's what I would share with you. And maybe not immediately jump into the technicalities of it. So yesterday was our Independence Day. We celebrated our 74th Independence Day, as we all know. And I thought that I could take the famous poetry song Vande Mataram today and bring in my case, classical dancing. And what could be the difference if one just recites this poetry as it is, and then, to see it done through movements and expressions? That's what I wanted to convey. So I'm just going to share some basic movements here with you, and then we can do it together once I step back, right? So the poem begins, the first stanza of the poem is Vande Mataram, which is, I bow to you, mother. Pretty simple. I bow to you, mother. Vande Mataram, right? Sujalam, Sufalam, Malayaj Shitalam. So Sujalam is to show the rivers of our country. You see, I'm moving my wrist here, which is also very good for you. I mean, we always practice wrist movements in the morning. So this is another way of moving your wrist to show water. Sujalam. Sufalam is to show the rich fruits that grow in our country. Sufalam. Malayaj Shitalam, to show the cool breeze that is found in various parts of our country, which we cannot have access to right now due to travel restrictions, but yeah, we can enjoy it through the dancing movements right here at home. Malayaj Shitalam. Shastra Shamalam Mataram, which means that our motherland is covered with the dark crops, and our soils are rich and fertile. She's covered with these crops. Again, I'm moving my wrist a lot, my eyes a lot, and there's a lot of expression going on. And lastly, Vande Mataram, I bow to the mother. So we can just do this first stanza together, and then I can move on to the second one. So I'd urge you to join me as I sing along. And this is pretty simple movements, easy to catch on to. Not much dancing happening here, just more of expressions. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, start. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Sujalam, Sufalam, Malayaj Shitalam, Shasya Shamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram. Okay, so that is the first stanza of our Vande Mataram. And would you like me to jump into the second stanza, or we could break to?
I think you can go on to the second stanza also.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes. Let's do the whole thing,
Yeah, sure. So, right, I just wanted to share this communicative aspect of, Indian dance, that, we have a very close connection with writers. Writers are very dear to us because we're able to express what they, whatever thoughts and emotions that they pen down, we are able to visually express it through our movements. Having said that, though, of course, there are abstract dances as well, which do not use words, and that's a whole other genre. But today I wanted to explore this communicative aspect with you so that you can visualize your words when you're at home. So the second stanza goes this way. Shubhra Jyotsnam Pulakita Yamini, which means that her nights rejoicing in the glory of moonlight. So her nights, I'm showing the moon right here, rejoicing the glory of moonlight. Pulak Sumita Drumandal Shobhini, that her lands are clothed beautifully with trees. So I'm showing the bark of the tree and the branches of the tree right here. and it has beautiful flowers that smell really nice. Suhasini Sumadhura Bhasini means that her laughter is sweet and her words, so many languages that we have in our country, are really, really sweet. Vande Mataram, I bow to thee, mother. I bow to thee, mother. Sorry, I missed a line. Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, which means the mother who is the giver of all the boons, who's always blessing us with her abundance. So let's jump right into the second stanza, and then we can go over the whole song again. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, start. Shubha Jyotsna Pulakit Yamini Pullak Sumitra Drumandala Shobhini Sukhasini Sumadhura Bhashini Sukhadam Varadam Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram. Let's go the whole song one more time, and then we can wrap it up from the beginning. Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujana Sufala Mataram Vande Mataram Shubha Jyotsna Pulakit Yamini Pullak Sumita Drumandala Shobhini Sukhasini Sumadhura Bhashini Sukhadam Varadam Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram.
That's fantastic, you know. So that looks very, very, very simple and easy, you know. एक गाना पकड़ो, जो गाने में एक बोल हैं, उसी पे आप एक्शन करना शुरू कर दो. Is that so?
Very cool. So learning classical music is actually part of the training, and yeah, you
So
can.
this form of dance I've been doing for last almost 25, 30 years now, because you know, the song and instructions come from my wife, and the dance is performed by me, you know. उठ जाओ, ठीक है, अब ये करो, अब वो करो, अब ऐसे करो, अब वैसे करो. So all the dance happens, you know, and I dance every day. I mean, and almost like on the fingertips, you know. Anyway, jokes apart, but it's a very wonderful way of, you know, doing what you express. That, you know, you pick up a song and express the song in dance form. That's amazing. And for the audience who think that, you know, Odissi is only an Indian classical dance and it has to be, you know, danced in a certain way with the Indian classical instrument and all, you cannot imagine what you're going to see and what Vrinda has done. Or I can say you can only imagine what is done in this thing. You know. Let's see this.
So we're saying give peace a chance, you know, like nobody's ever done it before.
You
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. Someday, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. The need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say that I'm a dreamer. But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us. Someday, and the world will be as one. You may say I'm a dreamer. I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. Someday, and the world will be as one.
Peace. Peace in your mind, peace on earth, peace at work, peace at home, peace in the world.
That's really so beautiful. And Vrinda, I'm also a dreamer, and I've been a dreamer ever since early 80s. When I first heard this song. This song I think was released in 1976. It's a very famous, iconic John Lennon song, and I've heard it I think for the first time in 1981, and I've been fan of this song. And this concept of the word being one has been there in my head ever since then. So I've been a dreamer too. And you did a wonderful job over here, and it's so beautiful to see that how you can combine the Eastern dance form with Western music. So actually the word becoming one. So it's a beautiful thing to do. And I think we can all learn from this. Next week, maybe, so you're going to see me doing something like this only, Jokes apart.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. But the song will be very domesticated song for me. So there's another question that coming to the modern dance forms. So Himani, tell us that which are the modern dance forms which are there, and which modern dance form can one adopt easily, or can start with before we go on to the more complicated, more difficult dance forms?
Okay, since we're talking about modern dance forms, now there is a little bit of a controversy when we say about modern, because every time we refer to modern dance, it then goes back to the era of modernism. So therefore, there is a lot of conflict between the whole idea of contemporary and modern. So modern would refer to something that happened in the 1920s. So, which is when people started breaking away from a lot of classical forms. I'm talking about Western completely. So, when they started breaking away the rigidity of ballet and then they started making the more modern forms, which now belong to that era basically. So, when we're talking about of today, then we'll be more in terms of contemporary, or now I find a more generic term to cover it is urban, because contemporary itself has become a very controversial term. So yeah, as far as we are talking about how someone can start with a form, Sanjay, I always recommend that people should start with at least one style of dance, because I know there are a lot of people who inquire about dancing saying that I want to learn something so that I can go on the dance floor, and I want to learn something which is freestyle. And actually, there is no style which can be taught as a freestyle. You will have to learn a style to make it free. So that is actually a little bit of something that concerns me, because if you haven't learned any form or you haven't attended any specific genre, it as dance being again a very physical form, we end up with a lot of injuries. Like if I just recommend you to just start with a class which just throws you everywhere, it might just get very bad for your back or your knee. Whereas if I put you in a streamlined class, which could be a classical form like Vrinda, or we do a more modern form, again modern in the term, like I'm changing the reference of the term modern, like a jazz class, the class will ensure that you first get your alignment correct, you first get your muscles, because definitely it is a body movement thing that we art form, unlike music. So we definitely need to get your body into shape or body into the correct posture before we tell you to just free it up. So if I just put you in a class where you're going to be throwing your back without thinking about it, it's a very bad idea. So definitely a more popular something that people relate to these days is I personally suggest a jazz class. Even if someone wants to just learn Bollywood dancing, I mean, it's really easy for people to just adapt one style. Like I'm sure Vrinda can easily adapt her movements to a Bollywood song and make it look nice, because her body and her expressions are already in place. So yeah, if you tell me like in a popular genre, what forms can someone start with, then I would recommend definitely that they should start with a jazz form, which is an offshoot of a classical ballet style. And it's done to more popular numbers. And it's very easy because we all are Indians, we love Bollywood dancing. It is very easy to adapt those movements like footwork and everything to any song. Otherwise, they are all personal choices. Like, people want to do a waltz, or they want to do a cha-cha, or they want to do a rock and roll. I mean, these are all styles that you make up your mind. Okay, I really want to do this. I want to be like that guy in Shall We Dance, and I'm going to take a waltz class. So then you, of course, make up your mind, and it's your personal preference. But yes, if you want to start with something, I would recommend a regular good jazz class for someone.
So why don't you teach us something today? I want to learn. Like I said, I'm already excited. So maybe teach me something which I can start doing from tomorrow itself.
Great. I'm going to teach you, but you have to tell me, because when Vrinda was actually demonstrating, I was trying to figure out, because do you want to learn something more contemporary or do you want to learn something more popular?
Well, entirely up to you. You're the boss. I think popular should be a better option. No? Let us start with popular first and then go on to contemporary as well. No?
Okay, because while I thought, because when we were watching Vrinda, of course, there was a very nice observation that you made from her piece that she did, was that most of her movements were going with the lyrics, which also we do a lot of time. You see how the classical just extends into the popular in any culture, which I was just thinking, because that is our classical form. And that is how we take it even into our Bollywood. Like most of our movements in Bollywood, though it's a popular culture, but we tend to do all our choreographies with the words. So yeah, that was a very interesting observation for me. that she was doing most of her movements as an Odissi dancer with the poetry and the words, and trying to express that. Like you said that you do it very well with your wife, with the
Yes.
instructions that are given to you. So similarly, like I think that has just extended into our culture even in the popular form. Whereas, in the Western and the more urban form, definitely there's a difference in that. We do a lot of choreographies in which we do take the motifs from the words that are spoken, but then it's also we give a lot more focus on the musicality, and I can just sometimes completely erase the reference of a word. So yeah, if I do a contemporary movement with you right now, I will be absolutely be able to remove. Of course, I'll use the music also, but my references would be more everyday. Like yeah, you gave me an idea like getting out of the bed also. It's a great movement. Okay, so we are going to do something. Anybody who wants to switch on the camera can also switch it on. It will be nice if anybody is in the mood to move. So because I'm going to do a more popular sort of a music which Sanjay wants right now. So Sanjay, are you able to see my head? My face?
Raise it a little bit further. No, we can't see your head.
Okay.
This should be better, I believe.
Now better?
That's perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
So we are just going to start by moving ourselves. Like
Just step back a little bit more.
Back a little
Yeah.
bit.
That's perfect. Yes.
Okay. So like I said earlier, the dancing for most of us is like basic walking is dancing. So we are going to use as much of walking for the first 5 minutes or 3 minutes, and just see what all I can do with just walking. Okay. And let's take walk as our main thing for today. So I'm just going to walk on my right and I'm going to come back. So I'm going to take your side. So I'm going to walk on your right, step back, touch, step back, walk on the right and back, left, back, right, back, left, back. Anybody who wants to join, you can switch on your cameras. I'm not going to make it complicated. We can just do it together. Now I'm going to start walking on my right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to my position. 7, 8. I'm going to walk on my left. 3, 4. Come back to where I started. I want to walk towards you guys. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Away from you. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's just keep it as simple as walking for the beginning part of it. And Sanjay says that he's going to dance from tomorrow, so I'm going to keep him inspired and keep it simple. We're going to just add a little, like once you just touch something, it's too hot, you bring it back. I touch something, I bring it back. 7 and 8, and I change, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the first step that I taught you, let's go over it once again. So that I also know what I'm doing because I can change things very fast. So we are just going to walk forward, back, side. Now and after this, I'll take you forward. And side, we're going to do this 8 times. And then we walk on the side and I come back. I'm just walking. I'm not doing anything different from what you guys do every day. And I go towards the camera and I go back. And I haven't even added the hands, but we are just using the legs right now. From here, we did this. Simple. I'll put all this to music to make you believe that this looks like dancing. And we keep dancing it. Now in this, I am just going to add hands. And like I said, everything is from everyday life. So let's imagine like we are rowing a boat. So I'm rowing the boat and back. Row your boat and back. Row your boat back. 7, 8. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dancing has a lot to do with your weight shift. So now we'll start playing a little bit because you guys are getting professional. So we are going to start playing a little bit with the weight shift. So I'm going to shift my weight forward, bring it back, and still just walking and back. So I touch something, shift your weight back, shift your weight back, side. Now I want to make it more fun, so it's like I'm nudging someone with my elbow. So nothing complicated. There is nothing hard you have to remember. You nudge someone and back, nudge it and back. Use your elbow like you want to break someone's nose maybe. If you're angry, you can take it out like that. That's how it helps you mentally. You just want to hit something hard and bring it back. And this is your basic salsa movement. So you go to a salsa class to basically just learn this. And I just taught you that, saying that it's a weight shift. So that is your basic salsa movement. We're going to take the whole thing from the top, and then I'm going to put it to music. Okay? 5, 6, 7, 8. Shifting my weight back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I walk. 2, 3, 4, and back. 6, 7, 8. Changing side. 3, 4. Change my hands. Now I'm going to add the hands. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll it back. 6, 7, 8. And throw your hands. Stretch it out and out. 6, 7, 8. You're going to just roll your boat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. You can add your hips. It's your body, you use it however you like it. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So that is something we just learned as a movement. Now we can just put it to music. Sanjay, now you can give me a choice. You want to do it on English or Hindi?
Well, I think your choice now. Leave it here.
Today you are being very nice. Everything is my choice.
So let it be English music,
Okay.
Western music, because you already had the Indian one and then Western one. So you start with Western and go on to Hindi later on, like Vrinda did other way around.
Okay, I'll play you something.
ये जो नाव चलाना बड़ा आसान है, The only difference कि आपकी नाव चलती है बहुत smooth, like fluid, like पानी में तैर रही है. हमारी नाव चलती है झटके से, जैसे कि रोड पे हॉप कर रही है नाव.
See, you know that when you start a new car, you have to get it a little bit into motion, and that's why that is our job, to get it into motion.
Yes.
And then to be smooth. Okay, so let's play some happy music.
No, I can't hear it. No. Yes. No, not as yet. No.
Can't hear the music at all. But you can hear me, right?
I can hear you. I think if you go back to the share screen thing and enable the computer's audio, you'll be able to play it and we'll be able to hear it there, I think. Yes, we can.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
So we are going to keep exactly the same movement. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, 8. And you just keep lifting your feet up. And we travel hand. Other side. I come towards you. Away from you. Yeah. Remember the rowing of the boat. And 1, 2, 6 your weight. 5. And when you don't know anything else to do, then you just move your head and it works. Wonder. So that's how you get started with dancing.
Great, fantastic. So I also learned the move. The only thing is that when I move south, the music goes north. And,
That's not possible.
yes, but that's really amazing. So I think let us take it slightly further. And but before we go further, let me see that what. So let's see Himani performing something, more than just this, and then we come back to them.
Found myself standing there on the corner of the street. Nobody else to share this moment where we meet. Take a breath, look at you. Those eyes light up the sky. I'm falling fast, someone help. Can't let this one slip by. And what if it never ends? Or what if there are hearts to mend? I'll be here waiting for you, dear. And what if we're always true? Or what if it's always you? 'Cause lady, you're my blue-eyed baby. Oh.
That was amazing. So Himani, how to take it further? If somebody wants to really go, somebody already knows the basics and all and has been dancing for some time, how to take it further?
Are you looking at someone just training more ahead, or someone taking it professionally?
Let's say that not professionally, at least if somebody who's amateur, has been dancing for some time and knows the basics, but wants to go it further, maybe achieve some degree of excellence, or do better, then how to take it further?
Sanjay, mostly in all good dance schools and studios, unfortunately in India we don't have any of the Western styles like accredited with something, unlike a Juilliard or something abroad. But definitely even a good basic dance studio will have different progressive levels. And that's how it should be. Even if someone's just joining somewhere, it should have a progression to it. You can't be kept in a same level with just different choreographies changing. And also you shouldn't be a part of something where just because at the end of the day it is performing arts, but again then it's a business line also. So you don't definitely want to be in a place where someone just says that in 3 months you will move ahead. That's really not a criteria for any of the arts. I feel I might take 3 months, you might take 3 weeks to learn something. If I go to maybe I've been doing this form for the last 10 years, but if I go in Brinda's class today, it'll take me at least 2 months or 16 classes or 20 classes just to get the basic posture of what she's trying to do. And then I'll progress into the movement and the lyrics, musicality of it. So definitely look for a place which provides you progression and which is very clear in terms of, even if not in terms of curriculum, but definitely in terms of how each level is making you enhanced as a performer. Like what is the difference I teach in a beginner and what I teach in an advanced. I should have that clarity. So I know that, what is my target for you. So yeah, I think that's something people should definitely look out. Mostly people just get excited that I'm going to join a dance class, and then beyond a point, it's a dead end. So it shouldn't be.
So these days, there's a fear of attending classes in person. So what do you do for that?
We are just doing online classes, Sanjay. Although I think now, even with with the lockdown, unlock 3, now they will probably allow all the gyms and studios to open. But that is not something I'm looking at, because wearing the masks and dancing for definitely for people who are non-professional is anyways not a great idea. We tried doing it 2 days back in the studio. We were trying to do a recording and we tried wearing masks and rehearsing, and it was very tough.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want someone to go through that. We've already waited 6 months. We might as well wait a little bit more time. And the good thing is that even in the online classes, it's quite amazing. We never expected it. We just started it thinking that, it's let's just get some, bring that feeling of normalcy back for all our students. But we've seen students grow, and we found something which we discovered, that the online classes are in one way better than in studio classes, is that you have no one to follow around you. When I'm dancing in a group in a studio, I always have the mirror in front of me so I can see the whole class with me. If I'm a student, you will never feel that, oh my God, there's no one to follow. Even if you forget, you will be able to follow someone's reflection in the mirror. But in the online class, you can switch off your camera if you feel a little overwhelmed by people watching you. But if with the camera switched off, you are relaxed that no one's looking at me. Plus, it sort of not pressurizes you, but it definitely pushes you to remember, because the teacher will do it 10 times, but then on the 12th time, she wants to see you. So now you have to push your brain and you have to try doing it on your own. So yeah, that is something that we found by chance, that, oh wow, this is working in our favor, because the students are now trying to push themselves. So yeah, we'll be online till the time things are very, very safe.
Vrinda, what do you have to say if somebody wants to take it further, say in your dance form, beyond the basics now?
Sure. So as Himani said, it basically depends on the priorities of the learner as well. I mean, it depends, what are you walking into a dance class with? What are your goals? Are your goals to be able to, just take it up as a hobby, or you're planning to take it maybe to the next level, maybe become slightly more serious about it? Or are you just, planning on, you're so passionate about it that you decide to take it up as a profession? So all the three things have different, results happening. But what is important is to find a teacher, to find a space, a dance class space, where you can get structure, where you can know where, how much you have learned in the given time period, how much you have progressed, and what are the criteria of this progress. If you're at level 1, then what is the criteria for that, level 2, etc. So that way you can track your own progress and know where you have to make your improvements, and what resources you can access to make that progress, and how your teacher can help you better. So, going in with that knowledge, ample knowledge, I feel is very important. Just, not walking into a dance class thinking excitedly that, yeah, okay, this is just a recreational thing I'm doing, and that's about it. You should, I think, even at that level, knowing how you can really leverage on the dance class would benefit you, because you are investing your time and money into it. So you should know that you're walking into into a place where you can get something solid out of it, even if it is for recreational purposes. And so I think that's how you can take yourself a step further. Many times people feel that art is it's not very well structured, or it does not have set parameters, etc., like that. But on the contrary, there are very, very set structures if you decide to kind of make yourself aware of what you can get out of it. And to find that right guidance is very important. Do your research before you walk into a dance class. Many times I see people marketing the dance class as, learn, just as Himani mentioned, learn Bharatanatyam in 3 weeks. that's just, that's, I mean, let's just put it this way, that you can't have something like that done. It is like any other, field.
So what's your final take-home message for all the friends who are watching us now?
I think my final take-home message for all the viewers would be that just on the note that we began, anyone can definitely dance. Just put on a track that you enjoy listening to, your favorite retro song or current song or any song that you enjoy, and just start moving to it. Listen to your body. Become sensitive to what that music tells you to feel. And be in touch with your feelings, be in touch with your emotions, and just move and be happy.
Fantastic. So Himani, what do you have to say as a final take-home message to the audience now?
My final message is always the same, that whatever you do, keep moving. It's something that I tell my students, even outside the idea of dance, that you're not a tree. So move. Okay, so if there is a problem, move. You are the one who's going to change what needs to be done. So if you're feeling low, if you're feeling bad, or, sometimes you're just feeling under the weather, I mean, you need to get moving. And since we are talking about dance, I definitely think, like Brinda said, ki if you do it at home or you do it in a class, the lockdown has given a lot of us opportunities to do things that we were never getting time to do. So even if you can get access to try out something, do it now. Like pay up for a class, pay up for an online class with any of the things that you like: drama, music, dance, book reading, anything. And, just move yourself, because that is the only thing. You are the one who's like, everyone, all of us are the ones who need to bring that change to the sort of life that we are looking at. So go ahead, do that. And of course, as far as dancing is concerned, I definitely highly recommend it. It is, besides being a great mover, physical activity, I will give you one tip. It makes you look younger. So it cuts down on the age definitely by 10 years. So go. If that works for you, do it. Do it for you looking younger.
Great, fantastic. That's a very great tip, that if you want to look young, you should start dancing. That gives me another boost and reason to start dancing from today itself, Okay.
On the music, not on the instructions.
Yeah. And what you said is very, very important. Move, This song by ABBA, which says life is motion, so move on.
Yeah.
And the difference between life, living, and not living, one very important difference is movement. So you must move. Dance has got, I think, immense benefits. It's a great art form. So it's an artistic expression, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. I think you cannot be dancing and feeling sad about anything. So it's fun. It's enjoyable. It is really, a great form of self-entertainment. So do it for that. It is a form of a very great exercise. That it's a cardio exercise. It also increases your flexibility, it increases your mobility. So all the things that we talked about in our fitness sessions about, cardio training and strength training and flexibility and yoga, it combines all that in a very, very fun way. So do it for fun. And of course, it gives you happiness. You can actually dance your blues away, as the title of today's talk is. So you start dancing, you'll feel better. So when we feel sad, start dancing. When you're feeling okay, start dancing. When you're feeling happy, start dancing. Whenever your wife tells you, start dancing and do not stop. Do not stop till she tells you to stop. So I think we have time for some questions. Anupama, do we have any questions? Anybody, any raised hands?
Raised hands, but we do have a few questions on Facebook.
So why don't you read them out for us? Yeah.
So I'll just start these questions. So one question I think either of you or both of you can answer is dancing an inborn talent, or can it be acquired without being naturally blessed with it? Please give an honest answer, not an encouraging one. So I think I'm going to ask you to respond to the honest bit of it.
Yes, so the one by one, I think we start with Vrinda. What do you have to say, Vrinda?
Sure. I want to share something with this person who has put up a question. I recently read a book It's called Limitless Mind. It's by Joe Bowler, and Joe Bowler is a researcher at Stanford. And she happens to be a mathematician. So, she talks about how, and, I don't have the expertise in this, but having read that book and having seen her research in brain studies and being a mathematician herself, she talks about this thing where you have to believe that your mind can also grow like your body. It has the capacity to exercise and become limitless if you believe that you want to be limitless. Okay, so if you walk in with the approach with this, fixed mindset that I'm limited in these ways, you will probably not be able to dance. But if you walk in with a growth mindset that I will be able to break out of my limitations, I think you will be able to do the same. For example, if I decide today to start learning how to play the flute, naturally at this point, I don't know how to play the flute. I don't know anything about it. But if I acquaint myself to it and learn and decide to become dedicated towards it, I will be able to, do it. It's just a matter of doing and not doing, in my opinion. And when it comes to talent, like I mentioned in the beginning, you can be at a zero even with the talent. But if you have the will, I think you can do it.
Himani, what do you have to say? Himani, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree with Brinda. Definitely, it is about will versus skill. Definitely, that's point one. But maybe if this person, whoever's put up the question, in case they are a younger person and they're asking maybe in terms of a professional taking it seriously, I would like to mention here, especially because they said that please answer with great thought in it. So probably the person has tried to look for this answer a couple of times. There are two types of, even in dance, we say there are two types of dancers. One is a natural dancer and one is a trained dancer. So I'll be very honest about it, but remember, both of them are dancers. When I say a natural dancer, there are some of us who are born with maybe when we were younger, we just adapted much faster to movement. So you will, even if you take your these Bollywood legends who dance really well, you will be able to pick out on some of them who will naturally just like move, like if you look at Hrithik Roshan, the way he'll move, like it's amazing. That person's movement is natural. He must have worked, but of course there is, like Michael Jackson is a natural, there is no training. He would train the person who's actually choreographing him. So that there is a concept, someone born with natural talent and genius. And then we talk about trained dancers. That means that maybe your body did not have it naturally, but you acquired it with practice and you studied the form. Let's remember that dance is again a form of study, and it's really, really gone further in terms of being researched and studied and people doing masters and PhDs in it. So of course there are two different fractions of it. Now, what Brinda said, the harder you work and the more you practice, the more agile you get and the more fluid you get with your movement. If I stop practicing today, even if I can open my legs like here and there and it all looks very natural and I don't do anything for 6 months, the same movement will start looking stiffer in me. And I'll again have to, unwind myself. So yes, there is a concept of someone who has a lot of natural talent. Some people have a natural talent to be more entertaining naturally. Some people are naturally more witty. So, I mean, we do have something which is natural, but then if you feel that is something like you don't feel that you started at an earlier age or you don't naturally move so fluidly, you can always acquire it. It is a lot of training, and that is why we go to the specific genres of dance. Like if I want to be an Odissi dancer, I will go to a good Odissi teacher who will teach me step by step. If I want to be a ballet dancer, maybe I'll not become a professional if I have a flat foot and they need an arched foot. I won't become a professional. No company will hire me, but I will still be able to fulfill my passion. I can learn it as much as I like. So yeah, there is definitely a difference between someone who might have a lot of natural talent people have a natural good ear for musicality. I mean, but you can acquire it.
Correct, and that's I would believe also, and my medical knowledge also says the same thing, that human body is an amazing machine capable of doing a lot of things. We actually limitless. Limit is more in the mind. The natural talent actually makes things easier for you to progress faster. So you may take lesser time, you may reach a higher level, but then absence of natural talent does not mean that you cannot do a thing. With really hard practice, with persistence, with all the knowledge, proper training, you can actually learn a lot. And ultimately, the height or the altitude that you achieve is decided more by the hard work that you put in, not by the talent that you have. Talent makes it easy to reach the top, but to reach the top, you have to work very, very hard. No? That's given. No? Any further questions, Anupma?
Yes, I think Nidhi wants to ask a question. Nidhi,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
So there are two parts to this question. I have tried Himani's class, and I was recovering from a knee injury, so I tried it as a matter of rehabilitation. And I have you to thank a lot, because now I can do the kind of deadlifts that other people can't even dream of, and squatting with double my body weight. So it's been a really remarkable journey for me. So the two things that I want to ask you is, when people like me who are using it as a rehab, they're not going to be very fluid in their movement. They're not going to have that feel good factor. It is more like a task that they have to do. So is there something that you recommend for such people, that this many hours a week, or these motions help you get there faster, or something like that? And secondly, I know for sure, because for Vrinda and Sanya, I took them together for their first class. So at that time, so Vrinda, do you still have this thing about no younger than this age? How soon can you start? So these are two questions for both of you.
Okay, because we are talking about my class, and that's a very good question actually. Nidhi, ideally, it would be ideal if like someone who's already struggling with some sort of an injury or a rehab for your muscle, and then you're coming for the class, and you want to get that fluidity in your movement with, like, compared to other people around you, it would be ideal if instead of meeting you twice a week, I would meet the same person 4 times a week. Because even people who have no problem, by the time, if we are doing only 2 hours a week and then I meet you the next week, you would have probably forgotten. It has less to do with the the problem that we are dealing with. It has more to do with our muscle memory. So anyways, you at a starting point, like I said, if I go to Vrinda's class only maybe twice a week, by the time I'll go on next Monday, I would have lost the rhythm. But yes, if I see her more often, and I do practice more often, because at home we all cheat, we don't practice, even if the teacher keeps shouting, and the teacher also knows that you don't practice. So then of course more consistency definitely helps. That is one. Secondly, with someone who's struggling with that sort of a knee or a back thing, yeah, you need to be very, very careful which class you're going in. I would, if you're working on it as a rehab more than a dance class, I would definitely recommend a good Pilates class for someone. But then again, with a good Pilates studio where they can make you work on equipment and stuff. So that is one. But of course, dance has a different feel to it. It gives you that music and movement together. So in that case, it would have been, and you were doing really well, Nidhi. Okay, but then we all also have to remember that our life is really not like the life we've seen for the last 5 months. In the regular hustle life, we barely get time to go and do something new. Like I can be dancing the entire day, but anything new that I want to do, I never get time for that. So it's hats off to people who are working full time and then they come and do that something, maybe a dance or a theater or a music class outside your home time, and try and give that extra hour to to your your passion. So yeah, but then again, if we talk about giving it 4 hours or 5 hours a week, again, then it's a lot of time management for all of us. So, but it'll help. Definitely, it'll help. If we do it more, it will help. And for the age criteria, I would recommend, at least in all our forms, I don't work according to the studio doesn't work according to the, old school ballet age of start the kids as early as 2.5 and 3. I totally unrecommend it. I do new school ballet and new school contemporary. So I recommend that the children should start dancing at the age of 4.5. Unfortunately, it's sad that we get calls from parents who have kids who are 2.5 years old, and I don't only get calls to take them in the dance school. I get calls that if I could actually prepare them to go into one of the Star TV, Sony TV reality shows, and it just gives me nightmares, because I know that I will refuse, but I know that someone else will do that, and I just feel so sad for those children. We start at a 4.5, where we do kids ballet and pre-ballet, so they just learn to have a lot of fun with the technique. And we do creative movement, which is more to let them just explore the space and the movement, and they create movements. So yeah, it wouldn't be, for my form, I can say that it's not advisable with the new studies and everything, that because ballet needs you to rotate every muscle that you have, which is not ideal when your muscles are still developing. And your muscles are very soft. So the old school idea is that if you start at the age of 2.5, your flexibility is going to open really fast, because your muscles are already all out of the sockets at that time. So yeah, but then they have not gone into a natural, parallel sort of a form. So I don't recommend that. I don't know about Indian classical. So
Brinda, what do you say?
Yeah. So I agree with Himani on that. What also always told is that, the earlier you start, it's going to be better in terms of how your body takes it. But from personal experience, I can say this, that, when your body is young, and I'm seeing a lot of young children also who learn dance, their body is still forming, as Himani rightly said. And to put the kind of muscle pressure that classical dance requires, you're always squatting in a particular position. There's a lot of pressure on the lower back. There's a lot of pressure on the thighs and the knees. So till the time the child is not aware of how they can use their body and strengthen their body overall to not put pressure on a particular point, it's not fair on them to expect of them to be able to do a particular step in that right way as a teacher. I think that to give them that freedom to be able to build strength from top to bottom in their body, and then execute perfection in their movement would be a better practice. That is why I think additional strengthening exercises along with dance is something that has really benefited me. If I would highly recommend this to somebody, be it at a young age or starting out late. If you are joining a dance class, I would recommend, if you are not very active before that, a month of prior training, to just physically strengthen your body, start doing a little bit light yoga, open up, become a little flexible, and then walk into a dance class. And don't shock your body, don't enjoy your body. Kind of prepare it, and I feel that even if you start late, this is very important. And when it comes to the side of imbibing a dance form, definitely it helps in a classical setup if you started young, because classical dance forms there is a lot of vocabulary and there's a lot of text. It's very text heavy. There's so much of theory that you need to learn within it, be it in terms of the rhythm patterns and tal systems, etc., etc. If you start young, it sort of, you just grow up with it and it becomes a part of you. And it's easier for you to kind of understand the nuances of the dances as you grow up and you mature into the dance form. Whereas if you start late, I think the approach with which you look at the dance is again different. You're already an adult. Your thoughts have formed, and you are now looking at the dance with a completely different lens. So in one way, you're growing up with it. There are benefits over there. And as an adult, if you are starting out, it has its own benefits. But bodily, I feel like in both the cases, you need to be very aware of what you're doing with your body and how it could harm you or strengthen yourself.
Any more questions, Anupma?
Yeah, we'll just take one more question. I think there was a question about age, but I think on the upper side of it, can somebody start late? But I think Vrinda's already answered it. And the last question is slightly technical. This came when Himani was dancing, and it said, it looks elegant when you have long legs, but what if you're short and stocky when the upper and the lower body segments are equal? How do you still do the kind of moves that you were doing?
The question is that you just have short legs, yeah? Like it's not in proportion. Is that
Yeah, the question is, what if you're short and stocky? It doesn't look that elegant.
Okay, so dance is going to make your limbs, okay, now that's how dance also helps if we are going on the technical side of it. A lot of your body, a lot of exercises that we do are also to make your limbs, you can't technically make them longer, but the way you practice the workouts and the warm-up, that is what it does to you, that it lengthens out a lot of your limbs, starting from your back. And that's what I meant by alignment. Like a lot of us naturally would be maybe like that. But when you are training as a dancer, it'll just go into your body posture to be always like that. And that is going to give your spine already that length. The way your body is, you have to know that it is going to be the perfect way. But of course, when you add a certain technique to it, it does become more lengthened out. So my body might also be looking more, lengthened to you because I have been doing this for a lot of time. When you do a lot of stretching exercises, when you do a lot of strengthening exercises, your body definitely opens up. So that is going to, and of course, like you said that you feel that you have short muscles. So there are a lot of what we call as, like I said in the beginning to Sanjay, that a lot of the work that we do has to do with visual imagery. So again, then there are a lot of this stuff where we are imagining our body to be dancing outside our space. And slowly you will watch, if you're doing that consistently, it doesn't only have to be a dance class. Maybe a yoga teacher can also do that mindfulness for you. Maybe another sort of performing arts class can do that for you. You start dancing out of the box. So even if I am dancing in a smaller space, I look bigger. And that's how a soloist is basically trained. You start, like we saw Vrinda's reel in the beginning. So she was that one dancer on stage. You don't feel that you need another dancer besides her, because she's taken that beautiful space and she's completely made that entire stage, maybe till the end, to the last person in the auditorium, she's reached. And that's what performing arts does, that I am not only dancing physically, I have also connected with you emotionally and I have reached out to you. So that is one reason why my body might be looking like that to you. But as long as we stay in the physical aspect of it, whoever's asked this question, it will definitely help you, that whenever you start going to a class which is helping you to train in the correct manner, you will also feel a lot of change in the way your body looks, which doesn't mean that I become thin or fat, I lose weight or no, but your whole body imagery changes. And it has to be done the right way. But like today, if I start doing some exercise which is heavy on my quads, I will also develop, maybe more bulky legs. But if I need that to be strengthened, then I will do a complementary exercise by the side to now stretch it out. So yeah, like we don't definitely as dancers, that's why we don't recommend people going much to the gym. You have to be very careful about what you're doing. If I start becoming a lot of bulk on my body, my legs and arms will not look lengthened out to the person whoever's watching it. So I have to balance it. So that's where the technicality comes. So, and if you feel that right now your body is not looking that way, you still have to keep doing it, because it will eventually start looking like that. So like one of us said in the middle of the chat, that don't put that limitation in your head. Think about your movement, just move and you will feel good about it.
Thank you very much. Anupma, any more questions?
The only last question is a yes or no question. Would you guys teach someone who's 40 plus?
Yeah, I teach already.
Yes.
Cool. That's all, Sanjay. We don't have any more questions.
Well, I mean, I wanted to know, okay, if somebody, if somebody's 55 plus, will you teach them or not? No.
Of course, there's no limit at all.
So there's no upper age limit, guys. Come on, join in. I'm also going to be joining classes very, very soon, and you'll see me dancing as well. Thank you very much, Vrinda and Himani, for coming on the show and really enlightening us with all the useful information and showing us your dance forms. It was pleasure watching you, pleasure knowing more about dancing. I'm feeling motivated. I'm sure that everybody else is also feeling the same enthusiasm and energy that I am feeling. So after these two beautiful women, next week we're going to have a handsome man, and then none other than Arjun Bajwa. Arjun Bajwa is a Bollywood actor who's worked in films like Guru, Fashion, and he's right now working in the series The State of Siege. He will be talking to us about acting. So we had a session of singing, we had a session of dancing. Next week it'll be all about acting. Though acting has a very limited scope in our daily lives, but let's see that how we can use that. How can we bring that creativity out of us, whether it's theater or on screen. So please do join the live chat on 23rd August, Sunday at same time, 11:30 a.m. for a session with Arjun Bajwa. Thanks everyone for joining in the live chat. Be part of our group.
Thank you so much.
All the activities are happening on the group. Be active in that group also. And thanks, Anupam, for helping in the background. And once again, Vrinda and Himani, a lot of thanks to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. See you all next week.
Bye.